and welcome to another just-in-time training video from Girl Scouts of Silver Sage. I am Kim Huson, one of your team cookie entrepreneurship people. So today we are going to talk about the Smart Booth Divider, which is an amazing tool in Smart Cookies that takes a lot of the math breakdown and it makes it easier for you. I am going to go through just the PowerPoint on this one and not do a live demonstration, mostly because we haven't done any of our booths yet. And I think that PowerPoint accurately shows all of the steps that you would need to take to do this. So we do recommend that you distribute cookies after every booth, whether that is at the end of a day or if that is at the end of a weekend of cookie booths. The more you keep up with that housekeeping of distributing the cookies using the booth divider, the easier it is for your girls to know exactly how many cookies they've sold, because that number is reflected in their digital cookie. So at every cookie booth, you should have some sort of inventory paperwork, whether it's written down in a notebook or if you use the booth inventory sheets that are available on our website, which I will show you where those are at the end of the video. Or if you have a different system that you like to use in order to track your cookie booth inventory. But at the cookie booth, the girls and parents should take an inventory at the very beginning to know how many cookies are there to start. They should take an initial inventory of how much money they have to make change. And then at the end, again, they should take another final inventory of how many cookies they've sold and a final count of how much money they have collected in cash and checks. And they will be able to determine the credit card information via digital cookie. And they may not be able to do that at the booth itself, but you as the True Cookie Manager will be able to go in and get all that information after the booth has concluded. So one of the lovely things that the booth divider does is it does let you divide those cookies by girl, and it automatically assigns them to them. And it does it in a way that makes it even for all of the girls. So if all of your girls were at a booth for all 3 hours, it will evenly divide those cookies into how many girls were there. So let's move on to that. So first, you will go and navigate to your My Reservations tab under the booth section in Smart Cookies. Here you will see all of your True booth reservations. You can put in the search bar the name of a location so that it just filters out those specific locations. And once we've got our locations that we're looking for, you can go all the way to those 3 dots on the far right and find the booth details, the Smart Booth Divider, and the Remove Reservation buttons. And remember to find those 3 dots at the far end. You might have to go down to the very bottom row and kind of hover right underneath the text to see that gray slider bar that'll show up to go all the way to the right. This is a lot easier to do and see on a laptop or desktop, and not as easy to see on a mobile device. It's doable on a mobile device, but it's a lot harder to get to those 3 dots, I've noticed. So for this, we are going to end up selecting the Smart Booth Divider. And once we do, it brings us into that booth. So here we've got our booth over here at, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Ulkrops. Um, and then we'll see in the next section, um, what our variety of cookies. Um, so we've got a cookie share column. We've got, these are the old names of cookies. So you'll have each variety of cookies in here. Like I said, this is old, so they have the thanks a lot and the s'mores and the shortbreads. Um, I ABC needs to update their PowerPoints. Um, once we've entered in the number of packages that were sold at that booth, which we would get from our inventory, um, we can click the Save and Distribute Sales button. Once we've clicked on that button, it will pop up a list of all of the girls in our troop, and you can click on the selection box to the right of their name for all of the girls that attended that booth. Whether it was for the whole time or part of the time, we want to make sure that they get added in here. Once we've clicked on all of our girls, we can click on the continue button, which will bring us here. So now that we've entered in all of the packages of cookies, now this one's been updated. So now that we've entered all of the cookies that were here at our booth, um, it will give us a little bit more information at the top. So we've got the total number of packages that were sold, the total dollar value of those packages. We have the total number that Smart Booth Divider has already evenly distributed to all of those girls, and how many cookies are still left to distribute. In order to save, you must distribute all of the packages sold to a girl in your troop. You can't leave any of them hanging off. So here we have our girls that we picked in the last screen. And at the bottom here it says packages left to distribute. And these are in red. So I have one toast shay, 3 trefoils, and 1 peanut butter sandwich that were not able to be evenly distributed to the girls that I have to now distribute manually. Um, so I like to just go row 1, 2, 3, 4, and distribute them as evenly as I can. So I would distribute this one up here to Belinda. Out of these 3, I'd give 1 to Billy, 1 to Blanca, 1 to Brenda. And then this one, if I know that some of these girls have already done a cookie booth, maybe I'll give it to the girl who hasn't done as many, or who might, have a situation where she can't get to a lot of the cookie booths or can't do a lot of door-to-door sales. And so I just want to give her a little bump. So I might give her that 1 extra. Maybe I have a girl who was there for an extra half hour before, the other girls were able to come, and maybe she gets those extra cookies. Although I would have distributed those previously. If you have a girl, so say Brenda here, was only there for 1 hour out of the 3-hour cookie booth. I can take these 40 cookies that she would normally get, and I can manually change these numbers so that she has a little bit less that better reflects her being there for an hour versus 3 hours. And I'm trying to remember if I have an easy way to do that for you guys. I think I do, and I'll show you at the end. So once I have those red packages all at 0, this will also go down to 0. I don't have any more left to distribute, and I can click on Save. Now that I've added all of those in there, it shows I have 161 total cookies. I have 161 total distributed. So I am now done. And it will tell me that you have successfully distributed the packages sold to your girls. A troop to girl and virtual cookie share transactions were created. And we don't have to worry about track cookie share because that column won't even exist when you are looking at this. That was just a very complicated part. And by going to the virtual cookie share only, that column won't appear. All right, so if you go and need to edit a transaction in your Smart Booth Divider, Say you accidentally clicked on the wrong girl and you need to switch it from Susie to Sharon. It happens. So again, we're going to go into that booth, into our smart booth divider with those three dots. So this one I had 6 girls listed in the booth, and Anita and Beverly I clicked on by accident. They actually weren't there. So then I can click them off or I can go to my Edit Girls button over here in white. I can click off of them and click Continue. Then it shows me that here now I have my 4 girls. I still have those 161 packages, but I now have to redistribute them so that each girl evenly has the same number of cookies. This time I have a few more to distribute. So again, I'm just going to start up here with girl 1 and say, okay, she gets 4 Adventurefuls, 4 and 4. She's going to get 7 Toastiers, and then just keep going down the list until all of my cookies have been distributed. Once I click save, it will then tell me I've made Troop to Girl transfers, virtual cookie share transactions for these girls. And what it does is when you do edit something in the Smart Booth Divider, it does delete that first Troop to Girl transfer and create a new one. So you will not see for Anita and I missed the name of the other girl who was on there. So they will not have like a reverse transaction in my manage orders. They will just, the transaction will have been deleted. It won't exist anymore. And then these girls who we've edited and given them different numbers of cookies, it will have deleted that first Troop to Girl transfer and replace it with this new one. So they're not going to get double the number of cookies. They get the right number. If we need to edit the number of cookies that were sold at our cookie booth, we can do that as well. So we can click on here to edit booth sales. So maybe I realized at the end I had 5 donation packages that I needed to add to this because they were paid for in digital cookie and it got missed. So you do want to also double check that in your digital cookie when you're double checking your payments is you also want to double check if there were any digital cookie share that were paid for at that booth as well. So maybe I do need to add those. So now I need to edit my booth sales. I'm going to click there. And I can add, if I realized it was cookie share, I can add those to the cookie share column. But for this example that ABC gave us, they added, or they, changed the number of Adventurefuls that were sold. Again, once we change this, we're going to click Save and Distribute. We have to redistribute the cookies to all of the girls evenly again. Click Save, and then it will make the correct Troop to Girl transfer for this booth. If we need to delete a transaction within the Smart Booth Divider, same thing as before, we'll go into the Smart Booth Divider from our Troop Reservations page, and we can go in here and cancel the distribution. So maybe this was my Albertsons booth and not a Publix booth. So I can go in here and I can cancel the distribution. It will clear it out. It will delete all of those Troop to Girl transfers and any cookie share transfers that it did when you clear that all out. Bonus to the Smart Booth Divider. It does a lot of all that for you. It does the math for you. It is a absolutely fantastic tool. And my next slide is one I added, but it's why the Smart Booth Divider is important, why use it. First, and most importantly, it does that math for you. You don't have to figure out, okay, I had 4 girls at my booth, we sold 150 cookies, 150 doesn't evenly divide by 4, so I need to give each girl, how many cookies do I need to give each girl? Like it will do all of that for you. That also creates all of those Troop to Girl transfers, so you don't have to do those either. you just have to kind of wiggle around some of those extras that aren't evenly divisible by the number of girls that were at your booth. Um, the booth divider is the only way that we at council know how a cookie booth does. So every year when I'm trying to schedule these cookie booths, I ask a few questions. Was this booth a dud or was it absolutely amazing? Should we ask for this booth partner again next year? Um, when I'm trying to figure all those out, we do have some booths in remote locations. And did a troop choose this booth last year? Did they go to the booth? Did they sell cookies? How many cookies did they sell? Um, is this a location that's worth pursuing next year? We do have a lot of new booth partners that come on every year, and sometimes maybe that's just not a good location. Maybe it's just not worth it. Maybe your troop is only selling 20 packages at this booth, and 20 packages in 3 hours is not worth your time or your girl's time. And it may not be worth my time to try to, call that manager and get permission to have that booth. Um, so we want to make sure that we're appropriately managing everyone's time and not giving you a booth that we know isn't going to do well. So we do like to evaluate how our booths do, but we can only know that if we have the data for the cookie booth. That's really hard to figure out with just the manage orders tab because I don't always know what booth is associated with which transaction. I can see that the cookies were transferred in a booth column, but I also don't have a very easy way to track all of that in one simple report. Whereas I do have a report that tells me all of the cookies that have been entered in the booth divider, and that does help. And especially when cookie managers don't always get those um, booth transactions done the day of or the day after a booth takes place. If you're doing them all like Sunday night, well, I don't know if that was a Fred Meyer booth on Friday, on Saturday, on Sunday. I don't know what booth this transaction went to. I don't know which girls were at each booth, and so it does make that data aspect a little difficult. And we want to make sure that you guys are getting good booths and your girls are selling a lot at the booths. And so we want to make it worth it for you guys to secure the booth in the first place. Additionally, some of our booth partners request to know how much money is raised at their locations for financial or tax documents. At council, we don't have this information unless you put it in the booth divider, because I don't know what booth is being assigned when you do a true to girl transaction for booth cookies. So having, and it is a bit of an estimate when I do give them that number, but having the best and most accurate information is really helpful for them and for me. Um, Lastly, and maybe most importantly, this helps to answer the question of how many cookies should I order for my booth? This is a question you have all asked at one time or another. This is a question we get every year from our brand new troop leaders who have never done a cookie booth before. And with the data from the Smart Booth Divider, I can better provide an answer to that question. I can get an average number for how many packages are sold at a booth. I can even break that down by service unit, or I can break it down by region. So if I have a new troop that starts in Idaho Falls, I can say, okay, in your area, the girls at a booth typically sell X number of packages, or they sell this many on average, or this many in the first weekend of cookie booths. I can do a lot with that data to help answer your questions that you've been asking for years. So the Smart Booth Divider does help to answer all of these questions. However, I don't want you to think that you can't transfer cookies to a Girl Scout because they're picking them up for like a mom and me booth. Um, so for example, my daughter does a lot of mom and me booths. Um, and so when I pick up cookies from her troop leader, they transfer a bulk order to me. And this could have, a couple hundred packages of cookies in it. So when they write that receipt to me and they transferred me these cookies, they have now transferred all of those cookies to my Girl Scout. Um, and when we would put them in the Smart Booth divider, they would double transfer to my Girl Scout. And we don't want you to double transfer them. So if you've already transferred cookies to a Girl Scout in a troop to girl transfer, don't re-transfer them to her in the Smart Booth divider. That will double up her number of cookies, and no one wants a girl to have too many cookies because then it's going to be too much in the financials and too much in um, the quantity that she sold. Also, it'll mess up your troop inventory a little bit. So rather than requesting for you to use the Smart Booth divider for those, which you 100% could use the Smart Booth divider and then transfer back to the troop the cookies from that girl for the cookie booth. That is a lot of extra work on you, and we don't want to make you do that. So if you do transfer cookies to a girl who's going to be using them at cookie booths, you do not have to use the Smart Booth divider. And I did double check with ABC, and you could enter the number of cookies in the Smart Booth divider and not transfer them to a Girl Scout. But I'm also told that that does not show up on the report for the Smart Booth divider. So that also won't help in trying to get some of those points of data. So I think this is my last slide. Yes. So thank you for hanging out and watching this presentation with me. I am going to close out of this. And I'm going to actually take you to our Girl Scouts of Silver Sage website. This is where you can find Cookie Central, which I've mentioned in a couple of videos. We mentioned in a lot of our training documents. So by going to our website, you can click on cookies. Now, if you're on a computer, you will also have this drop down that shows up, so you can get to Cookie Central by clicking up here on cookies, by clicking here, or by going over here to Cookie Central. This is also the same place that your customers can find the 5 for 5 when they need to go and enter those numbers to win the 5 cases of cookies at the end of the season. You can also have a link to the cookie finder. And there's also a link to the description of the flavors of the cookies. We have information on here about our product incentive trip, the Troop Cookie Manager and Service Unit Cookie Manager contract, although this should have all been signed already. But if you're still waiting to get into the program, this is where you're going to want to start. So let's go in here to Cookie Central. It's got a little bit about the program, got some information about our mascot, some important dates, which I need to update to include some March dates in there. Upcoming, we've got our cookie booths coming up, and then our National Girl Scout Cookie Weekend, which is a major GSUSA marketing weekend. That is when Girl Scouts of the United States announces that, hey, cookie season is happening. It is also when your ship only booth links go live on the Cookie Finder. That is going to happen on Monday because there are press releases coming out from GSUSA about the cookie program. There's also a press release coming out from Wendy's about the collaboration for the Thin Mint Frosties and the partnership we have with them for cookie booths, which you can now book through Smart Cookies. If anyone wants to give a Wendy's cookie booth a try, we're gonna have some great marketing for that one. We've also got information about how the cookie crumbles. We all know that the Girl Scout Cookie Program helps to provide troops with funds to do things for their Girl Scout year, but it also provides things like our STEM days and our Journey in a Day and summer camps and badge workshops and so much more that um, we can provide in programs and trainings and things like that for you as leaders and your Girl Scouts. So it's a little bit of a breakdown on how that breaks down, crumbles down. We've got what you guys receive in your troop and service unit proceeds. There are also links to our expanded troop guide, which has all of the details about the cookie program. This is that big troop cookie manager guide that you guys remember from last year. We're trying to be a little more conservative in how much paper we're printing. So we merge that down into just the highlights of what you need to know right now to get your program going. In the quick guide that we gave you, or that you should have gotten from your service unit cookie manager, there's also a schedule which includes all of these dates for the just-in-time trainings. It includes any other important dates that you might want to be aware of. It includes things like make sure you check in with your parents and families and get an inventory count from them if you've given them cookies for a walkabout or a Mom and Me booth or anything like that. Oh, excuse me. Also here we have a digital cookie guide, and this is pretty amazing. I created this based on the PowerPoints that were given by the digital cookie team for training troops, parents, and volunteers on how to use digital cookie. The table of contents is interactive, so you can click on any one of these underlined links and it will take you to that page. It has different sections. So it has the troop cookie manager experience, has a Girl Scout and parent experience. It explains the mobile app at Cookie Booths, digital cookie help, where I can find some self-help links, videos and other support links that GSUSA's digital cookie team has provided, and the digital cookie help center. And then there's a little section on digital cookie for the customer and what that looks like from the customer side. So you can go and you can click on one of those sections and it'll take you right down, like here I'm on page 43, all the way down to what you need to know for that section. So that guide, super awesome, super helpful. There's also a guide to smart cookies, which includes all of this information on the smart booth divider, and everything you possibly need to know and do in smart cookies. And then we have some drop downs, which have other things like our manuals and trainings. There's a link to our YouTube channel where you can find these just-in-time trainings. Some information about our bakers, about digital cookie. This is the section I wanted to show you, the forms and tools section. So it has a link to our cookie program and updates FAQ page that we update fairly regularly with any additional information we might need to give you, or hey, we've got this coming up in the next couple of days. Please keep an eye out on your emails or anything like that. How many cookies fit in your vehicle? That's not actually a live link, but I did post it on our Volunteers and Families Facebook page. The dot sheet is more for your service units, but here's what I wanted to show you, this cookie booth checklist and the cookie booth workbook. I think I've shown you the cookie booth workbook before, because on here I've got a couple of tabs. So we've got the master tab, which you can make copies of. I've got a couple of examples from different booths on how this page works. And then I've got that how many cookies. So you've got that figuring out how many cookies you needed to order for your initial order. Also, you can use it for, if you didn't know about it until now, you can use it for cookie booths. And if I need to give somebody cookies for a Mom and Me booth or a walkabout, and I can change this number in here. So in the bold is where you want to change your numbers because everything else is a formula. You do have to download a copy of this in order to make it work, because otherwise it is locked. But in here, we do have that where you can, put in your initial inventory, your ending inventory. It'll tell you how many cookies of each variety were sold. And then you can enter those girls in here also. So let me see if I have one that has multiple girls. All right, so I've got 4 girls listed in here. They were each there for 3 hours. So I need to take from my inventory, each of them gets 81 packages. Um, and because I'm in the master copy of this, I am going to change this one to 2. And so if one of the girls was only there for 2 hours, it does calculate how many cookies each of the girls should get based on how many hours they were there. And I did learn something about this recently, that this spreadsheet was created by one of our other council staff members, and I ended up finding it on a Facebook group. So it has made it full circle from when she designed it and shared it out and to being reused again. The other one I wanted to show you is this cookie booth checklist. So this is that inventory page I was talking about. So the first page is an explanation of how to use it. If you need to provide this to another parent or to someone else who is not your Troop Cookie manager, and it would need to provide you with this envelope or packet or whatever you put together afterwards. So it's got your initial checklist, and it does go by cases and then additional packages. If you do that, you can write down the names of the girls that were in here, the initial amount of money you started your booth with. If you're providing this to like a parent and you're filling this out ahead of time, if there were any sort of discrepancies, so maybe they thought you had, or you had written down you gave them 6 of the caramel chocolate chip, but when they go and they take their inventory count, there is only 3 caramel chocolate chip. They can write that here in this little section and sign it. And then at the end, they're going to take this number from the initial and put it up here, take an inventory of the remaining number of packages, find the difference, which would be how many were sold. And then they can multiply by 6 for the cost per package. And then each of these little things in here are color coded. So you'll come up with your total packages sold, the cost, and then the purple comes over here to the cost of packages, which then you can add to your total sales, which is down here. So it's calculated by figuring out your total cash on hand from totaling that out. Subtract your initial cash for the total cash sales. And then you can add your total credit card sales, your total checks for that yellow box for the total sales, which will go up here. And then your totals should match for the total sales and cost of packages sold. And then you can write in here of do they match? And again, that volunteer or parent who is in charge of this booth can sign it. This last page is a envelope cover. So you can print this on a normal 8x10 piece of paper and glue, staple, tape it to the outside of a big like 8x10 envelope, or 10x13 envelope. Or this can be printed straight onto a big envelope for those parents or volunteers who run a cookie booth without a Troop Cookie manager. Then they can put on here their date, time, location, the adults that were there, and that they've enclosed all these items. So they've got their initial checklist, their final checklist. They've included all of the cash in this envelope, any checks in the envelope, and they can write the amounts on there. They can sign it, and then at the end of the cookie booth, you can give them that information on what they need to do with it. If you do your booths in shifts and say, you have 3 shifts for 3 hours. So every hour you have a different like parent who's in charge. They can pass this to the next parent. And then the one who's doing that final shift can bring all of these to the Troop Cookie manager. Or I think I have on here Troop Cookie team, because sometimes the Troop Cookie manager might want that to go to the treasurer or to the specific troop leader who's going to be helping to enter all of the inventory. So you can determine who's going to get it and give that instruction to your parents and volunteers as well. So this is a great tool and a great resource if you would like to use it. We also got just some extra fun things on here. Got some door hangers, goal sheets, thank you cards, got information about our cupboards. So again, here's a how many cookies to order, and this will also take you to that same cookie booth worksheet. And this last tab on that how many cookies. You've got your details about your local cupboards. So if you were to click in here, you will have a list of all of the cupboards that we have and any sort of notes or details that they might need. Like, is it at a storage unit? Do you need a number? Do you need a gate code? Is it in a new location from where it was last year? So all those details are right here in that cupboard details page. We got some coloring pages, information about your rewards. And there is an awesome little reward details page as well that just kind of explains all of the different rewards the girls can earn. It's got some measurements or maybe what's included when it comes to like those bonus potential adventure credits, how they're redeemed, when they need to be redeemed by. So this is also a great little explanation document that we created this year for you as well. And then the last one is all of the Cookie Entrepreneur Family pin sheets, which you can find on GSUSA, but they are also available here on our website as well. So I think that's a lot more now than the Smart Booth divider. And let me stop sharing my screen. So that was a lot more than just the Smart Booth divider going into the website as well, but we do get a lot of questions through customer care that if the person asking the question had gone to our website and found some of those resources, their question would have been answered before they even needed to email customer care. But I feel like a lot of our parents, volunteers, troop leaders, don't always think about looking on our website first. So I did want to show you that all of that information is there and available for you to use. It's I kind of looked at it and as when I was a troop cookie manager and what information would I want to have on there? What kind of tools would I want to be provided? And or what kind of tools did I use that I found really helpful and I think others would find helpful as well. So those kind of things have been added on there, like that digital cookie guide and the smart cookies guide and the booth worksheet and the checklists. So some things have been added on there for you because we felt that they were useful to us and might be useful to you as well. So please go take a look at all of that and use the things that we've created for you. Don't have to reinvent the wheel to make your cookie program work. So again, we will be doing a Q&A over this and any of our other just-in-time videos on Tuesday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. I will put the link to that in the first comment in this video, so you will find that there. It is the same link as last week and the week before. So I hope to see any of you with your questions at that Q&A session on Tuesday. So thank you and have a great weekend.